Greetings, fellow Obsidizens of the vast Obsidian community. Welcome to another video in the Obsidian for Noobs video series, featuring tutorials, tips, and tools for new users of the Obsidian personal knowledge management software. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can smoothly and easily transfer documents between Obsidian and word processing software. Importing and exporting Obsidian's Markdown files with the proprietary document formats of word processing software has long been a troublesome and laborious process for Obsidian users, as you can see in these actual postings from forums. I'll read them. First, does anybody know how I can get my notes from Obsidian to a Word file to write a paper without losing all the format stuff? Second, I can't fathom how to export from Obsidian to Word. I tried PDF to Word and that didn't work. I tried Pandoc and that looks convoluted. Third, notes should have the option to export to Word document. I use Obsidian to write essays. Presently, getting a Word document output involves me selecting the content of the note, copying and pasting into the Word document, and then re-adding all of the formatting that wasn't captured by the copy command. So native export would save me a lot of hassle. I have tried using the Pandoc plugin. I can't get it to work. Even if I could, I think this functionality is so central to how I use this software that it deserves to be native to Obsidian. I've also run into this situation myself, needing to create documents in Microsoft Word and then edit them in Obsidian, or vice versa. Going from Word to Obsidian wasn't too bad, but going from Obsidian to Word was a nightmare, as is attested to in the forum post you see here. The problem in such cases lies in the Markdown code. Word processing software typically uses its own proprietary format, such as Microsoft Word, which saves its documents with a docx file extension, whereas Obsidian saves its notes as Markdown files with an MD file extension. This is an inherent file incompatibility that makes transferring documents between Obsidian and word processing software problematic. Let's first look at the matter of transferring documents to and from Microsoft Word, which is the problematic situation referenced to in these forum posts. And then after that, I'll show you a newly available method that makes the process shockingly easy. When sharing documents between Microsoft Word and Obsidian, we're faced with two scenarios. First, importing a document created in Word into Obsidian as a note. And second, importing an Obsidian note into Word as a document. The first situation is easy. To transfer a Word document into Obsidian, we simply select and copy the Word document's content, and then we paste it into an Obsidian note. All basic formatting will transfer accurately, with the exception of underlining. But this is not a flaw. Rather, it's because standard Markdown does not support underlining. Thus, we will not see underlining transfer correctly under any method we use. Let's see how Word to Obsidian works. Okay, I have here a Microsoft Word document that contains all of the basic formatting we might see in a normal document. Italics, bold, strike through, a link, some headings, a bullet list, a numbered list, and a table. I'm going to transfer this document into Obsidian now. I'm going to select everything in the document and copy it. And then I'm going to open my vault. I've created a note called Word to Obsidian Test, and I'm going to paste what I just copied from the Word document into the note. As you can see, italics, bold, strike through, the link, headings, the bullet list, and the numbered list, even the table, all translated accurately from Word to Obsidian. So this situation works fine. I simply copy the content from the Word document, and I paste it into a note. Everything translated accurately. However, in the second situation, when we try to transfer an Obsidian note to Microsoft Word, we run into a problem. I'm going to open this note now in my vault. It's called Obsidian-to-Word test. It's basically the same content. And I'm going to copy it. And then I'll paste it into a Word document. Here's a fresh Word document. Let's paste. As you can see, the note's content did not transfer smoothly. What we see appear in the Word document is the Markdown formatting code instead of the actual content. The two lists sort of transferred okay, but everything else is in unformatted Markdown code. You can see the asterisks, The single asterisk for the italic, the double asterisk for bold, the double tilde for strike through, the heading code. Even the bullet list actually went in transferred in Markdown code with the hyphens instead of the dots. And the table is a mess. That's what tables look like in Markdown in Obsidian. So the transfer from an Obsidian note to Word is troublesome. And this is the problem that was referenced in the 3 forum posts that I showed you earlier. All of those refer to the situation of going from Obsidian to Word. Now, there is a partial fix for this. It's not perfect, but it's something. What we do is in Obsidian, we first switch from editing view to reading view, and then we copy the note's content. So let me get rid of this stuff here. I'll start with a fresh document. We'll go back into our vault, into that note, and I'm going to switch from editing view to reading view. And then once again, I'm going to select everything and copy it. We'll go back to Word, and I'll paste. Now that's somewhat better. Italic translated correctly, bold translated correctly, strike through did not, the link worked, the headings did not transfer correctly, the bullet list did, and the numbered list did. The table's kind of wonky looking. Actually, the table is there. It's just invisible. I'm going to right-click on the table and select Borders and Shading. And I'm going to select all over here. And for the color, I'll select black. And then we see the table. So it was there. It was just invisible. It's also scrunched up. At this point, I can adjust the column widths. And I can get the table looking the way it's supposed to. So again, when transferring from an Obsidian note to a Microsoft Word document, in Obsidian, if we first switch from editing view to reading view and then copy the note's content and paste it into Microsoft Word, what we see is that italic, bold, links, bullet lists, and numbered lists translate properly. Strike through and headings do not translate properly. And the table kind of translates, but it's not smooth and it's not easy. So to summarize, Word to Obsidian worked nicely. Obsidian to Word leaves a lot to be desired, to say the least. Thankfully, there's a much better way to accomplish both these transfers, and it only became available very recently, February 4th, 2026 to be exact. On that date, LibreOffice, which is a free and open source office suite, released its version 26.2, which contains support for Markdown MD files. I'll put a link to the LibreOffice website in the video description. The LibreOffice Office Suite has a word processing component, a spreadsheet component, a presentation component, and some others. LibreOffice's word processor is called Writer, and it is highly compatible with Microsoft Word. It can edit, create, open, and save Word's docx file format, in addition to Markdown MD files and its own proprietary format. Okay, so when transferring documents to and from LibreOffice Writer and Obsidian, we're faced with the same two scenarios that we were with Microsoft Word. Transferring a LibreOffice Writer document to an Obsidian note, and transferring an Obsidian note to a LibreOffice Writer document. Okay, let's first try transferring a docx file from LibreOffice Writer to Obsidian. I've got that same document that I used in Microsoft Word at the beginning of the video that has examples of all the various formatting, and I have it open now in LibreOffice Writer. And I'm going to transfer it to Obsidian as a note. Now remember, when we did this with Microsoft Word, I copied everything in the Word document, and then I pasted it into a note in Obsidian, and it worked fine. But now with LibreOffice Writer, I don't have to select and copy anything. What I'm going to do is save this document, which I will call Writer to Obsidian. And I'm going to save it not in Writer's proprietary format, but as a Markdown MD file. And I'm going to save it to the Vaults folder. Right now, the only loose documents here outside of folders are a hotkeys note, an Obsidian-to-Word test note, an Untitled note, and a Word to Obsidian test note. And I'm calling this Writer to Obsidian. So right now, that file does not exist in my vault. You see the hotkeys, Obsidian-to-Word, Untitled, Word to Obsidian. Save it. It asks me if I want to save it in Writer's proprietary format or Markdown. I want Markdown. And now I'm going to open my vault, and I see the note is there. I saved it to the Vaults folder. It appears immediately in my Obsidian vault. And if I click on it, you see everything is exactly right. The italic, the bold, the strike through, the link to Google, the headings, the bullet list, the numbered list, and the table. So again, when we wanted to go from Word to Obsidian, we had to select and copy the content of the document in Word and then paste it into a note in Obsidian. However, with LibreOffice Writer, we simply save the document from Writer as an MD file directly into our Vaults folder, and then we can open it up in the Vault. It's very direct, and you can see it's completely accurate. Now let's try it the other way. In other words, from Obsidian to LibreOffice Writer. Recall that when we did this with Microsoft Word, we had to switch to Reading View in Obsidian, then copy the Obsidian's notes content, then paste it into Word. And when we did paste it, only italic, bold, the link, and the list transferred accurately. Strike-through and headings did not transfer accurately. And the table kind of transferred, but it took quite a bit of effort to get it to look correct. Let's see what's involved now with transferring an Obsidian note to LibreOffice Writer. I'm going to close this. And now, in LibreOffice Writer, I'm going to select Open File. And I'm going to open the Obsidian-to-Word document that I have in my vault. In other words, here it is, Obsidian-to-Word test. This is the one we tried to transfer to Word, and we got some of it to transfer, some did not transfer. We had it in, we had to put it into reading mode. I'll go back to editing mode. And some things translated correctly, some did not. What I'm going to do now is open this document in Writer. I don't even need to go to Obsidian. I'm in the Vault. I'm in the Vaults folder. I find the document. I open it, and there it is. One step. Bada bing, that's all there is to it. And everything transferred accurately. Simply open the Obsidian MD file in Writer directly. No copying and pasting, no lost formatting. It could not be easier. Here's a summary of the steps involved with sharing documents between Obsidian and MS Word versus LibreOffice Writer. Obviously, the best way to do this is by using LibreOffice Writer. It's quicker, easier, and more accurate. And remember, this capability from LibreOffice is brand new, released in version 26.2 on February 4th, 2026. Only a few days ago. All right, so first, we transferred a document from Microsoft Word to Obsidian. We selected and copied the Word document's content, and we pasted it into an Obsidian note. Everything translated accurately. Then we tried to go from an Obsidian note to a Microsoft Word document. That's where we ran into problems. We first had to switch to if we didn't switch to Reading View, if we stayed in Editing View, we saw that everything transferred as Markdown syntax. So first we switched to Reading View in Obsidian. Then we select and copy the note's content, and then we paste it into Word. And if you remember, some of the things transferred accurately and some did not. So we had poor accuracy, and it was a tedious process, particularly with the table, if you remember. I had to go through all kinds of hoops to get that table to look correctly. When you're working with LibreOffice Writer and you want to transfer a LibreOffice document to Obsidian, in Writer, you simply save the file as a Markdown file in your Vaults folder and then open it in Obsidian. Very quick, very easy, and we saw it translated with complete accuracy. When we want to go from an Obsidian note to LibreOffice Writer, it's even better. You just open the Obsidian MD file in LibreOffice Writer. You navigate to your Vaults folder, find the file you want to open, and open it. Let me show you that with another document. In my vault, I have a note called Hotkeys, Hotkeys New. And it's a listing of all the hotkeys I use in my vaults. And I put emojis here as icons with these things. I'm going to open this note in LibreOffice Writer now. I'll get rid of this. I'll select Open File. I'm in my Vaults folder. There's the Hotkeys note, Hotkeys New. Select it, open it, and you can see it transferred perfectly. Even the emojis came through accurately. One single step to go from an Obsidian Vault note to a word processing software. So there you have it, how to seamlessly transfer documents between Obsidian and word processing software. Microsoft Word to Obsidian isn't too bad, but Obsidian to Word is a nightmare. Our best bet is to use LibreOffice Writer instead, since it supports both importing and exporting of Markdown files. It's easier, it's faster, and it's more accurate. And it can save and open docx files as well as Markdown files. So if you must use Word, you can use LibreOffice Writer as a bridge between Word and Obsidian. Now, finally and thankfully, working with Obsidian notes outside of Obsidian is no longer a hassle. Personally, I've been waiting for something like this for a very long time. Okay, fellow Obsidizens, that's all I have for now. I'll see you in the next video. Happy note-taking.